Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for September 3rd, 2023. So this is our Labor Day weekend, so I will get tomorrow off. I'm really excited not to do a whole lot. I did a lot of my house cleaning yesterday because my parents decided to come up, and then we went out to lunch, and then my dad and I finally made our trip to Powell's Books that we've been trying to do all year. So we did go spend some of our gift cards. I did not find very much because we went too late in the afternoon. If anybody's been to the downtown Powell's on a Saturday at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, you know how crazy it is in there. And there's just too many people in there. And I just couldn't see half the stuff I wanted to look at. It was just hard. So I only picked up like 5 books and I used gift cards and some credit. And my dad did really well though. He got a whole bag full and he got through all of his gift cards and he had to pay just a little bit extra. He did really well. So I was like, well, bummer. At least he had more fun than I did, but we made it and we got to go. So that's down for another year because we just don't go to the downtown one very often. I have the Cedar Hills location really close, which is one I normally go to. But this is our yearly trip that we go to, the really big one. So anyway, we finally made it. It was great. It would have been nice if we'd gone earlier in the day, but that didn't happen. Anyway, so today I don't plan to do a whole much, or tomorrow. I have, just not much planned. I just want to relax, and I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done. So this is going to be kind of a little different from my normal weekly reading updates because I did vlogs all the way through August, and so I finished my vlog on the 31st and posted it on the 1st. So I will have that link down below if you want to see the last week. I'm just going to briefly show what I read during that week. So you could see I did read a lot this week, so it was pretty good. So I did finish my reread of House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, the first book in the Crescent City series. I listened to Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which was read by him. So I really enjoyed this fantasy. I just never got into it over the years. I read When in Rome by Sarah Adams, which is a book I started last week, or the week before, but I was in a weird mood. So I put it down, but I came back to it and just adored this. This is probably my favorite contemporary romance in a really long time because I just don't read very many of them. But I really enjoyed where it goes. I can't wait to read the second book, the one that I bought first. I had to go back and read that one. I also finished Write It All Down by Kathy Rosenbrink. So this is writing, getting yourself into the writing mode, kind of to write mostly about memoir or things in your life. But I took it I wanted to have a writing book that just kind of gave me prompts on stuff if I'm I'm kind of having trouble getting into writing, which is trying to get to that point. But anyway, it was I think a writing book on, especially if you were someone for memoirs, but I think fiction people could get stuff out of that too. I finished Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton, which is a fantasy, I think, that goes into a fantasy romance, kind of starts out kind of urban fantasy with fays, and she is a nightmare. This did not work well for me, which is too bad. I did enjoy parts of it, but I don't think it's a series I'm going to continue at this point. I don't see myself picking up the next book. And then I also listened to The Assassins of Thessalon by Lois McMaster Bujold, which is book number 10 in the Pendrick and Desdemona series in publication order. And I only have one more book of that. So those are the books that I finished that are in the vlog. So that's why I kind of ran through those pretty quickly. I did finish 2 more books. So far 2 books so far in September. I am taking part in series September, which is put on by Krista at Books and Jams and Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand. I will have their videos, their announcement videos down below. Series books are clearly something is like my favorite thing, and I read a lot of them. And so this month, of course, I'm going to try to focus. I have to read a library book that is not a series book, but everything else I'm hoping to be a series book that I read this month, but we'll see how that goes. So what do? I restart a series that I read back in 2009 or 2016, but I have no real memory of this series, but I bought extra books or about books in that series so that I could reread the books that I had read and then finish it out. And that is the London Steampunk series by Beck McMaster. So I finished this on Friday. So this was, this is as I said, London Steampunk. It's like London's 1860s, I think late 60s or early 70s. I can't remember for sure. They don't like name it. They don't say what years, but it's like an alternate history where instead of, you know, Queen Victoria in charge, there's another queen, and she is human, but her prince consort is a blue blood. And a blue blood is somebody who's been infected with a virus that makes them very vampire-like, but they're in control, supposedly, of themselves. But once they start entering the fade where the virus becomes too much for their body, they start to become like killer vampires, and they go on rampages. So this has happened throughout history since the virus was introduced to the upper classes. And we're following Honora, who is the daughter of a scientist who was killed 6 months before, and so she and her family, her two younger siblings, are on hard times. They are just trying to scrape by, and things start happening where she has to get the protection of Blade, who is in charge of the kind of the slum area or the Whitechapel area. And he is not a blue blood, but he is somebody who was infected. So he has all the things that go with the vampire stuff, but he's not or he's not in the upper class. So he is, he's looked down upon, and there's also a backstory of how he got to be that way. But anyway, he's in charge of this whole area, for protection. He has his gang, and again, they meet for reasons, and then it just kind of goes from there. And a vampire that's on a rampage does go on a rampage, and they are trying to find it. So there's the mystery element of that, and then there's the politics with the blue bloods and the people who are in Whitechapel who are under Blade. And it has a good romance in it, and it has a good world building, a lot of stuff going on, and good steampunk stuff. There's not maybe as much of the steampunk as I was hoping for, but I still like the little details we do get. I just keep hoping for a little bit more. But this was really fun. I really don't remember reading this. Like when I went back and found the date, I was like so surprised I'd read it in 2016. I thought I read this like in 2012 or 13 when it first came out, but I obviously read it a couple years after that. And then I don't really have a memory of it, even though I know I read it. So anyway, poor thing. But this time I really liked it. Anyway, we're hoping to, so I want to continue the series. So I went on to book 1.5, which is Tarnished Night. And this is following one of Blade's, his right-hand man and his love story. And it was different, because again, it's shorter, but there's still some action, and, you know, somebody tries to kidnap his lady. Anyway, but it's like this one's more of a friends to lovers, and, you know, so it was kind of a little different, and it's, you know, but I liked them both, and I'm glad I reread them, because again, it has been, what would that be, 7 years? But as I said, it's one of those books that obviously slipped down I read them in succession, and then I lost track of it. Anyway, so that series. So anyway, I have one more book in that series that I want to reread, and then I will continue the series and finish it. It's a 5-book series with 2 novellas. So I still have 4 novels and 1 novella to read. So anyway, so that is what I've finished so far in September. For series September, I restarted a series and continued it, and they're both rereads. Sad. Anyway, so then the books that I am currently reading, I am listening to Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky on audio. This is science fiction where a world is seeded to make a different animal very sentient, and to see them grow and to become more human, or human-like as in smarts and stuff. And something goes wrong, and instead the inhabitants of that planet are the ones who start growing, and they happen to be spiders. Anyway, so there's 2 like points, or we're talking about the spiders, and then the humans who are coming looking for a new home after Earth has pretty much been destroyed. So anyway, so I read this 4 or 5 years ago. I read the first 324 or 43 pages, and I just put it down and stopped reading it. I didn't DNF it like consciously. I think I just was meant to come back to it, and I just never did. So now it's been too long. So I have the audiobook, so I am listening to this when I can. I'm not listening a lot the next couple days because I'm home. But hopefully on Tuesday when I get back to work, this will be my audiobook, and I'll listen to a little bit every day. It is a 600-page book, so I'm only 100 pages in, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see. Hopefully this time I'll get all the way through it. I just want to read this book. Even though it's a series book, I'm not sure I'm going to continue and finish it, but this is one of my 12 books, my self-destruct books. So this is one of the ones I had started and then never finished. So it's on that list for a reason, in order to see if I do want to finish it out or not. So right now, so far it's going well. If I decide to DNF it later again, then I'll get rid of the book. Can you guys see Cooper? Anyway. I'm also joining a read-along with Charlie Heathcote and Charlie Books Reads. They are doing The Secrets of Hartwood Hall by Katie Lunsden through September. So we are reading one section of the book for every... I think the first one is it's the first 10 days of the month, and then everything, then it's the rest of every Sunday we're going to do a check-in. They're doing check-ins today. I've already gotten messages that I haven't looked at yet for our first impressions kind of thing. Now, I did start this book back in, was it May? I don't know. I did read a little of it. So I'm about 27% of the way through. So I'm almost to the point where we'll read for the first section, so next Sunday when we start talking about it. So I'm going to revisit it probably Saturday, and just kind of go back and read the last chapter or two, try to get back into it, and then continue on. Because I was enjoying it, it's just I was not in a historical fiction mood, and this is following a woman, Margaret, who has fallen on hard times, and she has gone back to being a governess after her husband has died. And she goes to this Hartwood Hall. It's out in the kind of the middle of nowhere, and she is taking care of this woman's young son, and there's mysteries and things within the house and with the people there and in the town, because the town doesn't really like the people at the hall. We don't really know why. So it's very Gothic, Victorian, and I'm looking forward to getting deeper into it. As I said, I think I needed the read along in order to get myself to get back into it. Historical fiction stuff this year has not been a priority, or hasn't called to me. So, but I do want to read this because I did buy the hardback, and I do want to finish that. And that is Katie from Books and Things, in case you didn't remember, but this is her debut novel. Anyway, so then what am I physically reading right now? I started last night A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I had like 5 books sitting next to me, and I was like, it took me over an hour to figure out what I was gonna read. I started all of them, and I was like, oh, what do I feel like? I don't know what I feel like. And then this one just kind of grabbed me, and I decided to go with it. And this is one of those books where I didn't read it when it came out, because to me it sounded well, not cheesy, but a little bit compared to some of the urban fantasy that I've read. But I liked that some people have said that this is like Twilight for adults, and I'm only 90 pages in, but I can almost see this comparison. So, because I was forced to read Twilight because one of my friends made me read it, and anyway, I forced me. Anyway, point is that we're following Diana, who accidentally asks for a certain book it's been lost, and it's very important to the history of witches and vampires and demons, and she sends it back, doesn't even think anything of it, because she doesn't want anything to do with magic. She is kind of against the whole witches thing, even though her lineage is, she's a witch and she has power and stuff, but she doesn't want to deal with anything because of her history. And everybody now is kind of after her because she found this book, but now it's gone again. And they're trying to see if she took it or if, where it's at. And so we're kind of getting into a world where that she's denied herself for many, many years, and that she's put off, she didn't want to deal with. And she, of course, meets the vampire. His name was Matthew. I knew that. I was going I was thinking Michael. Matthew. And he kind of is, he's out for his own thing so far, but he's kind of introducing her into some things that she has not let herself be open to learning about the world that she's related to, that she just doesn't want to deal with. So anyway, I haven't read, as I said, only read 90 pages of it last night. I didn't get it started until too late because after I spent the day with my family. So I didn't get too far, but my goal is to make a really good chunk of this today and then maybe finish it tomorrow. That's my goal. I want to finish this hopefully on Monday because I have all day. I'd like to get this done because of the couple books that I need to read after this. But so far, so good. I'm enjoying it. I only own the first book, and this is the All Souls trilogy, but I think there's a fourth book too. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it because I bought this at a library book sale a couple of years ago, and just kind of on a whim because it was one of those ones that keeps popping up, and I just had never gone around to it, and I don't think I think it's because mostly because nobody I personally know read this that I can think of. And so I never really picked it up. I don't know. Or maybe I just thought it was just too commercial. Sorry, for an urban fantasy for me. Because I'm a big urban fantasy person, but I just never got around to that one. So anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. So what am I going to read into the next week? As I said, I want to try to finish Discovery Witches tomorrow, Tuesday at the latest. It is a 580-page book, so, we'll see how I go. I have a library book I need to read this week because it's due on Sunday, next Sunday. So Thornhenge, which is T. Kingfisher's newest release. It's kind of a fantasy. I think it's actually, I was trying to figure out, I couldn't remember what it was in my vlog because I almost read it last week. But I didn't feel up to it. I think it's a Sleeping Beauty retelling from the viewpoint of I think it's a fairy. The fairy who is like a toad or something. I'm not sure. I've only read the first 2 pages, so it's not like I just picked it up one day and read a couple pages. So I will restart it. But it's only about 115 pages, so I do want to get this done because it needs to go back to the library. I was one of the first people to get it, so I want to, and there's many people waiting for it, so I do want to read this. It's pretty short, so this is probably, hopefully, the only non-series book that I'm going to read this month. But I need to get it done because it's the library book. So, anyway. And then what I think I'm going to pick up after that, because I want to get that done, and then I'm going to let myself pick another chunker. I have a lot of chunkers on the go and what I'm going to read next. And I think I'm going to pick up House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. So again, I did my reread last week, and that I'm excited to get into this. Again, I was spoiled for what might come at the end, some part of it. I'm not looking forward to that now because I knew that this was a divisive book because everybody loves the first book, which I did enjoy a lot, except for a couple, 40 pages of it. But anyway, point is that I've been looking forward to this. And then I didn't get spoiled until a couple months ago after I'd read Earth and Blood, House of Earth and Blood. But I'm mad that somebody just came out and said stuff. I hate getting spoiled for stuff. And I'm looking forward to this to see what happens and how the characters, Bryce and Hunt, what they're doing and what's going on. And as I said, this is kind of a deciding factor on if I'm going to buy the third book. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, but I'm hoping that this next week I can read this because, the week after, I have a buddy read, and the week after that I have another buddy read. So, and I just don't want to be reading this at the same time as the buddy reads if I can help it. So I'm going to try to do this. I might vlog the experience for this like I did with the first book, just to have a record of how I feel about this. It might be more spoilery than I like to do a lot of times, but I will mark it if it is when I get to that point. But I don't know yet. I think this is going to be the next book I read after Discovery Witches and Thornhenge, but we will see what happens. So that is it. Again, maybe just a tad shorter, not much. I still talk a lot. Anyway, so that's kind of what's going on with me. How is your reading going? Are you participating in any readathons, any, read-alongs? And I got buddy reads coming later. So I got a lot of stuff going on this month, plus a lot of reading I want to get done on all my series. It's been just so hard to pick and choose already, and it's only been a couple of days. But as I said, I just want to get into a lot of things. I'm obviously starting a lot of things, but I think I'm having fun. So anyway, that's it. Let me know what you're reading and how things are going, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. He's cute.